All right, down to the poker. Um, First of all, like, uh, I'll just say like a couple things. So I have invested a lot of money and resources, which have to do with, um, like, I have all the range converter solutions, preflop solutions. Uh, I rented a server to because my computer is not good enough to run Sims. And so to be like good at poker or like be successfully independently successful, not like being backed and stuff. Getting like subpar coaching, getting coaching, second-hand coaching, getting coached by someone who's getting coached by someone, and then you see them play. Like I can play however I want to play. Uh, I know there are some repercussions to how I play because it's how I earn money. But in the end, you have like this is thanks to like some like what do you call uh, Turbo Kings. But by the way, win to win. But that's because I've been a 20-month, 3 tier, 3 month subscriber. So build a community, and that's what I wanted to show. Like you have to have a community. This is my results like for the year in terms of this win rate. So actually not that good. And on stars I'm down, but this has almost all my IDs. This is missing some that don't track basically, and they're basically Indian sites. Some that I will not tell people which IDs they are. But it's fine because the start of the year was pretty bad. I got a pretty good rollicking because my win rate from big blind, small blind was trash. It was like -30, -60. Sorry, yeah, it was like or -50 from both. I forget what it was, and it was like zero or negative something for over 80k hands, and then the next 120k hands is completely, at least from small blind, big blind. I don't think anyone wins more money than I do. Heads up, if I was to filter this data heads up, it would just be 21. So heads up to the flop. Um, and obviously, like it's win rate, so like it needs to get the data from somewhere. So it's usually like showdown has a lot of effect on your win rate. So yeah, heads up, it's pretty good. We figured out it's multi-way. Uh, anyway, I don't know why I have this open. Big up range converter, by the way. Just well, we can talk about this part. What is this? I don't know. I was just doing this stuff last night. Um, just so you know, like, uh, I had a coaching session with BVZ after quite a long time, mainly because I just didn't wasn't playing, like I said, and yeah, 24 less than 24 hours later, I'm 4 bags nicer, a few bags nicer. How about that? But yeah, this is interesting that like BV can just jam. This is at what 40 big blinds versus undergun plus open MP call cutoff call button call. It's just like all bunch of cap ranges. King 10, like at 40 big blinds. I'm surprised Jack 8 isn't in there. Jack 9 and Jack 8 suited aren't in there. I think there would be if there's one more caller. So if you have SB calling, in fact, it becomes, it like adds Queen 10 like but takes King 10 away. Well, it's still like you can do anything with this. It's kind of, but like you can see like King Jack suit is a pure slam. King Queen suit I'd just probably just jam. Uh, it must be like some other, uh, or maybe it's I'm just intrigued by the spot now. Let's just say undergun plus raise, an MP called, um, say cutoff called, and button folded. small blind called. Alright, we're still not at Jack 8. Oh, it's sorry. Um, I know where that will come, but you can see it's pretty wide, and like there's certain, you know, I mean these are high density folds, like because they don't do that well multi-way. So it's either gonna be like King Queen offsuit is folding half the time, then Ace Jack offsuit is folding every time, basically. Um, but yeah, people generally wouldn't jam this, and if you do jam, they just go ape shit crazy. I don't know why. So I think the spot that I was looking for was kind of like button raises and small blind calls, and you can see that big blind strategy for that would be, yeah, Jack 8 suited is jamming at full weight. Jack 9 suited I'd probably just be jamming. Jack 10 suited as well. Jack 10 suited just plays so well. Queen 10 suited is just a raise. Queen Jack suited mostly also a raise. King Jack is a slam. Ace Jack is a slam. You know, blocks Ace King, blocks Jacks. Whereas Queen 10 kind of blocks Ace 10, 10s, Ace Queen, Queens, but like the King and the Ace are better combos. So Ace King Queen, Ace Jack, 10, Ace 10, Ace 9 offsuit, Ace 5 offsuit, suited. Yep. Raise folding these hands, and then threes is a jam. Fours isn't. Fives is, because if you have a 5, he doesn't have like no one has Ace 5 suited, so like you kind of unblock them. You kind of block them from like shittier aces, so they can have like 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, which are all going to fold, and like obviously there's more combos of those than there are of these, like, you know, the top 10-15%. So I imagine that's why like fives is jamming, threes is jamming, fours isn't. This is I mean it does, yeah, it's it still, it blocks the Ace 4 suited, but no one's gonna have Ace 4 suited in their range as much as they're gonna have Ace 5, right? 6 is probably the value jam here. 7s, 8s definitely is. Anyways, why am I looking at these, man? This is not the stuff to be doing. But yeah, I remember. I was just looking at similar spot at like 50%. It's almost similar. Not much different. It's still like a lot of bunch of cap ranges. Anyways, so yeah, I mean like still a lot of improvement, because I sent this to certain people. Like I sent this to Spades from Turbo Kings, and he was just like very cute, Vikram. Like, and then he showed me 11 big blind per 100. Connect yourself with people. I'm sure you can make out who this is. I'm sure you can make out. Hey, it looks like an H. Looks like a G. Head down. Graph up. So, just like, you know, people who like improve your game, be around them, and not like people who you think are the best in India. Okay, so also, yes, sure, you get some resources from, like, you know, BBZ himself, but also like I bought all of these, you know, all the pre-flop solutions, and then you don't just buy a 5K worth software and just sit on it. You fucking do stuff with it, and just like this tree is gonna just grow. Like, we get into MTT Sims, there's single race part, which I have so far only done like I've just kind of collapsed EP, undergun +1, then MP cutoff button, and then blinds. Blinds are like blind versus blind, like all stacks. This is a list of all the flops. It's about 1755 flops, or sometimes it's 544 flops. These are some sims that need to go up. Some scripts for marked hands that I have, like one script starts the second one, and there's certain spots I need to upload to the server. And I mean I can like Turbo Kings, BBZ, they're like I could just watch their videos and get all this data, but you want to scale up yourself a bit. Now obviously this is getting a little bit heavy on like newer players, but just take this as hard work, right? So like it's not only about like having connections and like relying on them all the time. You kind of have to do work yourself, so you can see that there's just more stuff down there. Just so like so 3-bet at all stacks, aggregated reports. I don't know what this is here. 100 big blinds, flop saves basically. So micro saves. So I did like 30, 25, 20 big blinds for fewer spots, kind of like 20 to 10 big blinds for like just late position stuff. Early position is pretty, you've got 20 big blinds, you got to be very tight, man. 40, 60. Now 50 and 80, for example, again, shout out to Range Converter for, just one day they were in my online viewer. So big up. And you can see that it just keeps going. So these are what I'm downloading from the server. And then you have to be kind of like cautious when you start doing this, that you're not building bad sims. That's another thing we discussed in the coaching session that I had. And then this list goes down, way down. In fact, we're going to be picking up a hand from here. Here, I messed up on the sizing because, again, I just set up on this computer and Stars Helper. Now, like, I can't read a stack depth, stack size, or like by big blind. Fuck. So the flop comes ace 5-5. Again, it's a kind of like a bias. I know this player very well. He's a good friend actually. Like, so I think he knows my game a little bit. I just slammed the flop with it. He calls. This can be a barrel, but only if I had bet what I should have, which is like what I would normally in a 3-bet pot, because there's a lot of ace-x in my 3-betting range there. Although you'd be surprised at like what that range is, and we'll have to defer to Turbo Kings just to show you ranges, and then I'll go on pile. And also a deep run recently and 2 wins have come directly because of one hand posted by one hand in a video by BBZ. It's called like cutoff versus button 40 big blinds. Now the video was great. There's content from Turbo Kings that like spades, like for example, like final table ICM. There's Beef is Lemon. If you want to look at a hand history, there's Brad, who seems to be winning freaking every big fish, and I can't like get past the first hour. So again, so many great players to learn from. Anyway, so this is me and BBZ discussing this hand, and basically what he says ends up being right on Pio. And the reason we use the Pio is because we want to kind of have a scaled up game. Like we want to be able to play this hand with not just ace. I'm not gonna go to Pio and look at, okay, ace queen offsuit, I should have done this. No, I'm gonna see what other combos do what. And what turns out here is like, yeah, we can like a lot of my range, the C bets like 30% on this flop will probably continue barreling because again in my range. But this queen is not helping us here, so that should reduce the frequency of our barrels because this queen basically blocks him from king queen, ace queen. They kind of, but yeah, he's pretty blocked from ace queen anyways. um, you know, we block him somewhat from queen jack. So yeah, like so yeah, we can like double barrel here some of the times. Some of the times jacking is fine. When we bet pot on the flop, which is not a thing, it's definitely a jack. uh, and then this is just a bluff catch. This is just to like sometimes get a chop to fold, because even if I bet 20% here, I think nines folds. I don't know about jacks. I think it folds too. Um, so this was pretty poorly played hand, all on the assumption that this villain knows a little bit about my game. But then, yeah, sure, but again, what BBZ taught me, like people suck at finding vulnerabilities and suck even more at counter strategies to those vulnerabilities, which is basically what I did. Like I just sucked at that in this hand. Okay, go on with the next one. Pick up dead girls. This one was kind of surprising to me, but also illuminating. So again, like game selection, playing within your role, forgetting about past beefs, and like this game has a lot of volatility, not only just in the game dynamics. Quantitatively it has volatility in it. Like mathematically, it has volatility. No matter how good of a player you are, you could just go on a pretty big downswing or whatever. Then you have volatility emotionally as a human being, and this is the perfect platform for that side of your emotion to exploit you. So game selection, like I was tilted yesterday playing the Saturday Eliminator, 20% battery left. There was a thunderstorm, like I didn't realize my charger, and I was downloading all those sims from the server, and this computer was completely useless. It was disconnecting again and again from the internet because the bandwidth wasn't good enough. But I won a tournament later because you walk away from the computer. The sims got done. Obviously late in the day, night. Sorry. As you can see, I've just woken up. Went for a round of golf. That's about it. Which is basically 2 days ago, and because I can't really play much, but I did go and play 7 holes today, which is where I got the 7 over or 11 over, or I don't know. I didn't count the score. Who's counting the score? But that's good. Like it's just a little bit of physical activity that I need. This is actually not good for my ear, like, but gotta get over it. But staph infection ain't nothing to fuck with. This is a pretty interesting hand. Okay, he makes it 3x, so we can actually basically just fold here. We're very sensitive to at this stack depth to the sizing, but calling is fine. We flop an ace. He bets small. It's a call. And then he sizes up, which on this like board is kind of dicey. And calling here is somewhat okay. I didn't build a sim for this actually, but BBZ did. So I'm sure I can find the spots in the sims that I'm building, in the flops that I've given. I'm sure it is a two-tone ace 2 jack board, or at least ace 3 jack or something like that. Maybe it's the same thing. All the deuce does have some effect on the big blind range. And this is a fold on the river. So I mean, we just looked at it, and it was just a clear cut fold. And this is nothing to like, you know, harp or hark about. Didn't play well. This is not a well played hand. This is a fold here, if not here, if not pre. Um, okay, simple stuff, right? Simple stuff. And the ace queen hand, by the way, where I bet pot, like, we can just go look at this, and also, first of all, like, again, like I had this open because I wanted to look at something. So again, this is 100 big blinds deep. No, this is ace 5. Oh, there it is, ace 5 5. So it was like a rainbow ace 5 5 board. This is what, like, so I was sent this so I could like reverse engineer and like figure out how to filter this data, which is really well done by Turbo Kings. You can see that it's just like a massively small bet. Like the majority of it is just on this, especially with this like flop, on this flop with range. This is what you're like betting at like 30%. The sizings I put probably are gonna show about 70% or plus. You can see there's a little like this is like you can't like even like compare this like 17% versus 78%, and you'll see that most of the stuff that we bet small with checks very little, so that's betting with range basically for you. And then if let's see if we have a pot size bet. Yeah, we do. And you can see with the pot size bet, although the aggregate is like 7.5% of the time versus 28%. So like this is overall like everything is collapsing to like a small bet. And I'm sure if like this 50% bet was taken away and like it was just like 30, 60, 90, it would just collapse even more towards this small bet. You can see the checking increases. So with the big sizing, the pot size betting, you're either potting it or you're checking. And that same flop is 5-5. I mean, like it's just gonna be. We just saw it, right? But anyways, it's interesting to see what flops you do bet big on. So two-tone boards. This is something I even told while we were coaching. This is something I just know as a rule of thumb or like just experience. The two-tone boards you can bet bigger, and you should, because flush draws are part of now your range. Flush draws are part of a 3-bet calling range. So on like a board that has like top pairs kind of stuff, you can definitely bet big. But the counter is like to check. Like you either check or you go big. Do we have any like overbets? Now in my sim, I did not actually go for it. Like I mean like just like you can see how fast it just drops down. Like there's this one, it's Jack 10, again two-tone, and it makes sense because a lot of your 3-betting range has King Queen, Ace Jack, Ace King, and a lot of his calling range has 9-10, King Queen, and like obviously not advisable, but yeah, you can, like, but it's only 0.31% of your entire range. So that's good. So we know that it's supposed to collapse to a smaller bet sizing. So these are the inputs. Again, I just put like 100 big blinds and not like the exact number of big blinds, which was a bit more than, which is I think it was actually, yeah, it was 100 or more than 100 big blinds, but that's fine. And these are the inputs in terms of ranges. This is my, this is a button's 3-bet calling range. So he's gonna 4-bet rip some of these hands, right? Like I would imagine Ace King offsuit almost to a, from button versus big blind almost to a full weight 4-bet rip. Kings, aces can be trapped, sure, a little bit of trapping, and I'm sure the 4-bet is not an all-in. This might be, I don't know. Ace king suited is always a 4-bet. King queen, I mean, this is pretty high degree of 4-betting, and then jacks is not, and then tens, nines, and then there's some 3-betting with these combos. I think these are 3-bets. But anyways, this is just like what's in his range. This is our 3-betting range at like this stack depth at 100 big blinds. No, this is our just range. But we have 3-bets. Like this is not showing you what's 3-betting. I know certain things are 3-betting, but it's just showing what should be in our range. Now you can see that Jack 8 suited we wouldn't fold to a 2.3x open, right? So this probably, you can imagine, is probably a 3-bet, right? Like you won't be folding Queen 10 suited to a button open. So you can imagine that this is a 3-bet. You would never be folding, so you can imagine the other half is a 3-bet. But you can also imagine that certain things are like the bottom of our defending range, so they probably have a very low degree of 3-betting, and they're just generally just in our range. So like a lot of these hands are getting 3-bet. That are just like, it's just showing you the weight. This is not really the strategy right now. It's showing you like the total number of combos and the percentage of our range. Then the bet sizing should be the more the better. Raise sizing, so check raise or whatever kind of raise, all in on any street, and then donk sizing. You can even add like a smaller donk at like short stack depths. So this is pretty robust. Solve 2.10, which is perfect. Yeah, so we're obviously see, like it's like I told you it's going to be 71, like, or in the 70s. Like, you can see that this is insane. All our checks are collapsing to this 92%, 71 into 238. So like that's about like that's less than 30% of a bet, right? 70, 140, 210. Yeah, it's less than 30%. And if I'm wrong on this, Jesus, man, that would be hilarious. But I'm pretty sure it's like 27 something, 29. Okay, it's actually 30%. It is 71, right? That adds up to. And also you have to remember that we are here. We are like, for like deeper stacks, you would want like a little bit, like, you don't want to divide like a starting pot that's like 2,388 to like, or something even bigger, to like 23, because that's gonna take too many significant figures out. You probably just will have to round to 24. So like to like have like more significant digits at least. So yeah, it's 30% sizing. What happens with that is that like he's calling a lot. On this board, nines will call, like I said, like nines, eights, and like they should not fold. And everything else is just basically, there's basically no 2-bet, in his range. 6-5 is not gonna 2-bet, right? I don't know why the hearts has a little bit. Yeah, sure, whatever. And then the turn was a 9 of clubs. No, king of clubs. Sorry, it's there. So on king of clubs, you can see that we do primarily check. Uh, we do have some betting that's like not part. Uh, that's for sure. It's not 90% either. It's like gravitating. All of it is going towards 60%. Uh, so what are the hands? You can see ace king, like two pair. Um, Ace five, obviously the board. But you can see that ace queen is a check because queen really does hurt. Like it kind of blocks him from all those like blocks him from king queen, jack 10, jack queen, queen 10. So it's not a good combo to have. What and basically if across the board doesn't matter what suit you have. In fact, the only slightly betting is happening when you don't have the club, which makes sense because he might have them, right? But you can see that like um, the set of aces, a board is checking here, board checking. Uh, so primarily there are certain and our bluffs are coming from where like queen six suited. Sure, that makes sense. Jack seven makes sense. Blocks the villain from like we block him from a7, so he can have either weaker aces or like you know the same with king x, he can have weaker or has less combos of these and more of the weaker ones, but also the fact that he can have 5-7 suited. I don't know if it was in his starting range. um, um, when 7-6 is so he can definitely be floating with like some kind of like uh, uh, like straight draw queen 10. We're drawing some bluffs from queen 10, which makes sense across the street, and especially with like both the diamond and the club, um, and queen jack as well. um, so that's where we're drawing a bluff from, but also you can see that like apart from ace 5 you can see that ace 4 offsuit, for example, is a more of a bet. And across again, like it's great to have like a club, but across the combos it's betting, and it's betting more than ace queen. Why? Because ace queen's just blocking our villain from continuing. But overall strategy is check, and it did go check check. In position here can I mean he's still also like betting, but when we check he can like also give us some value, right? He has some like bluffs as well. For example, he can be leading with a king, every king almost. Forget about king 5 ace 5, all like uh, worse aces. Sure, there's ace queen like that, that's the only one we're chopping with, like an ace jack. I mean all ace in the end chop, because it becomes aces and kings with the 5 and the 10 kicker, so like a lot of them will chop. Jack 10, so he can be giving us value from those combos, and they're kind of betting on the slightly bigger side. But it did go check check, and the river was at 10 of hearts. And yeah, again, like a small bet is fine. So bet check bet line would have been fine, and you can see that even the bet sizing is pretty small. Uh, there are certain combos that bet slightly bigger. They're the ones that kind of don't block clubs. Well, sometimes at a very low frequency, like ace of hearts, hey, and queen of spades. But I mean, it doesn't matter. The difference isn't that big. But yeah, so again, like we can just check back, but I think yeah, again, if we bet, we should be betting small. So we should bet like 114. And you can see that it's not only here's the thing, like he can try to get us to like fold chops, but you can see that if he doesn't, there's a lot of hands he's giving us value with. He's giving us value with every king. He's bluffing to a certain degree with some of the hands. Obviously Queen Jack got there. Ace 10, I mean, it's gonna be a chop, right? But no, it's not gonna be a chop. It's gonna be aces and tens and a king kicker. Ace 10 offsuit will be a chop though. Where else are his bluffs coming from? Some Queen 10 will try to like 2-bet the pot. 10-9, which makes sense. There's no point in calling. Although you can just call as well. Like it's kind of split between the middle. 9, like I said, 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s, they're all folding. 6s is fine to call with because it just doesn't block anything. So, like it kind of is like the best worst bluff catcher. Like you don't want to be bluff catching with these decent hands, but this is fine. 4s is going gangster. Because he doesn't have 4-5 suited. He doesn't have any kind of like wheel draws, but this is kind of crazy. So we're gonna just see like what happens if he takes Queen 10 and goes ham on us. Yeah, we'd probably still be calling. So like 2 pairs calling. He'll like all suited aces are basically just chopping, so they're calling. But so you get more value in that way because there are some bluffs in his range. But if we played it the way we're supposed to, the way we did, which was I bet pot on the flop, so I have 214. Okay, whatever. So you can see already like he's folding a bunch. So we're not getting any kind of like. There's absolutely no 2-bets. There were no 2-bets in that scenario either. But this time he's just calling completely, but folding a lot as well. And then there was the King of Clubs, and now you can see that it's like checking. But now when we bet small, you can see that like it was 78% checks. Now it's 56 and 43. So we can bet small. We can barrel this, and a lot of our range will barrel this. Like I said, Jack 10 will barrel this. Queen Jack will barrel this, and across the board almost. Jack 10 of clubs, that makes sense. Jack 10 offsuit will. Queen 10 offsuit will. Any king is basically not the suited ones though. Queen 6 suited. This is interesting because the reason why this wants to bet is because it blocks 5-6 suited, and also blocks like Queen 10 and stuff. But it's probably not always going to realize its equity. So this is a decent combo to think about, like betting with, even the hard combo, which is the weakest part of his range. Oh no, not really. Yeah, it is, because that's the only one that he's not gonna float with any kind of like flush draw. And the reason why we can bet larger on two-tone boards on the flop is because, like I said, its flush draws are in the ranges for both players. So is Jack 7, again, something that somewhat connects with like 6, 7, like something he might give up, and it's somewhat shitty. Does blocks reasonably well, but like it's not always. When it doesn't realize its equity on the river, it's probably gonna lose. That's the problem. Uh, so I'm gonna go with a check because ace queen offsuit, like I said, it's not a healthy combo. Uh, there's worse hands we should be betting here with. Ace 4 here, there's certain combos that are betting big, there's certain that are just like checking, which makes sense the way we played. So yeah, there is some double barreling, but I'll go with the check for now. And in position can again now give us so much value, like sevens. Forget about the 6 5 5 4 fours, threes, deuces, fives. He should be bluffing. You know, so there's a lot. Queen Jack suited he can bluff with. So there's Queen 5 suited. Okay, like obviously. But he's supposed to check too. But like let's just this time let's just say it's 45-53. It's say like he bets. And our only option is to call. There's no two betting. And then it's the 10 of hearts. And out of position, we can just check. So now we'd be checking back. Obviously betting boats. We're checking back 5 6 suited though. So basically trip fives, which doesn't make any sense. No, I'd probably bet with trip fives because we don't have a board. It's only I'd check with king 5. Wait, hold up. What? Oh, we can't have king 5. Wait, we can't. Sorry, my bad. Confusing myself a bit here. Trying to see which. Like ace 5 should be checking, right? Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Like nuts are checking here. Unless he has 2 5s, which is let's forget about that. So you can see you do check with the nuts because a bigger range, wider range will call you. So people usually call tighter and bet wider. Kings full is again like it's not that like not that you bet like all the time. You can just check and you can see that this is the reason. Again, those like aces that he's gonna try to chop you off from, the bluffs, the straights, all that. Even trips. Obviously, you can't both have ace 5, but say he does and he is betting, like he's bluffing. There's just so many bluff combos there, and then obviously you get paid with ace 5 suited. But say the 10 comes and we bet, you can see that he's just gonna call, and most of it is gonna be like if like it's just ace x combos. There's some calls with like queen 10 is calling, just insane. Jack 10 is calling. Yeah, kind of like because the jack blocks us from queen jack and wouldn't go triple barreling with like an ace. 10-8 is calling. So the stuff that doesn't block him from a draw is calling. Interesting. It must be because some of the line that I took back. Queen 5 obviously. All kings are calling. Damn, that's kind of weird. I don't know what I would do in game. I mean, these make sense. These do too. But I mean, almost king queen suited does too. But jack 10 suited is calling. Yeah, I mean, like, if he doesn't have a 5, he's not like triple barreling, right? So, and we block him from set of 10s, we block him from queen jack, king queen, a bunch of stuff. Well, king queen, blocking him from king queen is not. We don't block him from king queen. That's a good thing, right? So yeah, it makes sense, and I'm sure we can justify some certain other calls with that same logic. But yeah, the thing is, he's only betting like 5%. Oh, this is us. Sorry. The 10 came and when we check. Sorry, my bad. In position. When he jams. So yeah, when we check, you can see that like there's a lot more combos, and when we jam, this was in position. Like yeah, he's gonna call with certain hands that beat us, but they're gonna be like few and far between. It's gonna be 38 combos versus we check. I mean 66% combos actually. Same number of combos actually. Just a lot of these have bluffs in them, or we beat or chop with. The rest he just checks back. So this is the way to go with like probably the nuts, and like sometimes with like a board. But you can see the ace 5 is the nuts here. So ace 5 was checking for sure. You can check it here. Ace 5 is just checking across the board. Ace 5 suited is just checking. The only ace 5 suited we can have now is checking. So it's because it's the nuts. And then that gives him the opportunity to bluff. It gives us more value in general. And lastly, this is pretty neat. I like this explanation because it's so simple. This guy calls, just limps. So what is he limping? Definitely not the top 20% of his range. Right? He's not limping aces, ace king, ace queen, all of that stuff. He's also not limping like stuff like 6-2s offsuit. So he's not limping the top 20% of his range and the bottom 30%. So what's in his range? The middling 50%. And when we just check back, what's in our range? It's definitely not the top 20%. We're not gonna just check back aces here. It's definitely not like something like jack 10 suited either. I'm gonna isolate. He didn't raise or anything. I'm gonna isolate kind of wide here. So we basically have actually like the bottom like 75 to 80% of the deck. He has the 75 bottom 75 80% minus the bottom 30%. So like the middling 50%, and when this flop comes, like this is just his range is just too strong. So like this is just a bit overplaying with thinking like there's some good like turn cards to come. No, they're not. He's got a really good hand here, and I'll just shut up right there. End of the year, ending careers. Who do I roll with? 2, 3, 4 Pioneers.